That truck sounds so good. Well, it turns. That's a good thing. It means the diff actually works. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. We're here in front of the truck. We're working on the rear end today. I have Ryan here with me. And it is a rainy day here where we're at in California, which is really good because it's been a really dry summer. We probably haven't got rain, like good rain, since like May. Yeah. Like spring. And so it's nice seeing everything getting washed down and the dirt getting settled down a little bit. But since it's raining, we can work on the truck here, which is always a fun day. So the problem we have with this rear end is it is geared to high, low, high. It's geared too high. Geared too high for the speeds that we want. We want to be able to drive this truck on the highways and freeways if we want to. And as of now, at like 2,000 RPMs, which is where we feel like the engine's pretty comfortable, we're only going like 50, 55 miles an hour. And we want to be able to go like 70 at that speed. And so how we combat that is we got a different gear ratio, a differential for this rear end, which we have here. So the one that's in it right now is a 488, and supposedly the plate's gone, so we have to trust this number. This is a 325, so that should drop it down quite a bit and hopefully give us those highway speeds that we're looking for. So
because right now people are like, you know, we've gotten a few comments and you know, just about people saying, hey, like, you know, you're not going to be able to, if you lower those down, you're going to be too high or too low of gear, and you're not going to be able to, if you wanted to pull anything, you're not going to be able to. But right now, like, to just even take off in the truck, we're taking off in third gear. Yeah. And so it's like, that's just a little unnecessary.
Yep. And then that day we brought it into town, you could be cruising down a side road at like 35 miles an hour, and you're in like fifth or sixth gear. And so that's definitely not what you need for a truck like this. Sure, if we were just going to be hauling heavy loads and that's it, yeah, this rear end would be great. But it is more of a show truck. Yes, we will pull trailers, but it won't be anything over probably a car. So we don't need that heavy load, the torque that this has currently. So we're going to be swapping it out. We have the fluid draining. Ryan just undid the drive shaft. And so really we just need to start taking bolts out. Also, we're going to be, I don't know if we should show you guys this, but we've been cruising around with these short studs. Since the aluminum wheels are thicker than the steel wheels, these studs are too short. And so these rear nuts are only on there like maybe halfway. So while we're at it, we're going to be taking those off, getting longer studs, and making that a little more OSHA approved. So I guess let's start by jacking it up and taking wheels off. Well, all right, a little update. We got it out. That thing's a beast. Housing's good. One thing that we realized, that this caliper has been stuck open, I guess. So it was constantly engaging the brakes. So this rotor is toast, has been ground down quite a bit more. You can see the thickness difference. And then the pads are toast, obviously. So for whatever reason, that caliper is stuck. Other than that, everything went really smooth. Unbolt the axles, pull them out, and they're over here. And then one thing you need to be aware of when you're looking for a differential is the spline count. This is a 39 spline count, and obviously it has to match the differential. This diff looks really good. If anyone's looking for a 488 differential, let us know, because we probably won't have any use for this. Hopefully we can sell it and make some money. And this one we're just gonna blow out real good and install it back on. I think the hardest part of this whole thing was taking out the brake, the e-brake cable, because this is an emergency brake, a transmission on one, obviously, and park brake, and the cable goes through here. So you see over there, we took the drum cover off, and trying to get this out was probably the hardest part, but once that was out, it came out pretty easy. They're heavy, so obviously need something heavy duty to lift it. So get this cleaned out, we can bolt it onto there. I think we need to go get some studs we're gonna put some studs into here. That way we can bring the diff in and slide it in instead of having to try and line up everything. The studs will line it up for you. So have to go get those, and then we can throw the sucker on. All right, well, Ryan is putting the studs in. We just went and bought some bolts, cut the heads off. That way you don't have to try and line up the diff and then try and put the bolts in. You can just slide those onto the studs and it will be in the right place. So really all we need to do is put some RTV down around the whole inside, and then we are ready to throw that sucker in. We'll use the skid steer just like we took it out, and hopefully all goes well. Well, that went rather smooth, actually, better than I thought it would. Having those studs hanging out really helped be able to just set it on there, remove the chain, and just slide it on and bolt on. It went really well. So that's all done. Park brakes all done. So we went to the Ford dealership and got new studs. They're coming tomorrow, so I'm just gonna, I think, hold off where we're at until tomorrow, and then we can put the studs on, put the wheels on, and then torque things down, fill up fluid. Still got to throw the exhaust on, and then we can take it for a ride and see if all this work has helped us gain some miles per hour. Well guys, we are back with parts and we are ready to finish this rear end. We have our fluid. That stuff's expensive. I think that was 120, 130 for 5 gallons. But if you're gonna get a bunch of fluid, get it in the 5-gallon drums, because we were at O'Reilly's and we were looking at the gallon jugs, and it's like 50 bucks a piece. So the amount of fluid that was going to take for this rear end is going to be like $300 something for the gallons. But we found out that the 5, so if you buy bulk 5, that's only like $130. So still pretty friggin' expensive for your rear end fluid, but it's cheaper than 300 something. So we have that. We got our studs. So these are the longer studs you can see. Here's a comparison of the old ones. So yeah, with the old ones, the lug nuts were only going on, you might be able to see the mark there, just halfway, kind of sketchy. So yeah, we have the long ones. And for putting these in, typically with cars and stuff, you can just stick them in and then put the lug nut on, and you can use a gun and just zip it on and it'll just suck this in. And this will work with these, but it takes a lot of ugga-luggas. So I found that if you just use the hammer, have the hammer here, and as you can see on the sides, don't really have much here, but if you do it sideways, I was able to pound them in, and I can get them pounded in with about 10 swings instead of a couple hundred ugga-luggas. So quite a bit faster. So just need to throw those on, throw the driveline on, and then we can put the weight on it so we know what level is, fill up the diff, fill up the hubs, and then throw the axle on, or not the axle, exhaust, which is ready, just needs bolted on, and we can go for a drive and see if all of this work changed anything. So I'm going to put these on, driveline, start filling with fluid. Well, boys, we finally got it put together.
And girls.
Oh, and girls.
Yeah.
There's probably one or two out there.
This isn't like a guy-girl thing, you know, or this is, I mean, it is a guy-girl thing, I guess.
All. This is a truck for all. So we got everything put together. Wheels are on. Everything's torqued down. Fluids are in. And we got the exhaust back on, which this truck hasn't been put together for a month and a half. So it's cool to see it finally back together. And we made sure the doors are open a lot. So no more exhaust.
Have you told them the exciting news?
Oh, I haven't. We are getting brand new doors. automatic doors. Before we had the old chain, which works, but the biggest problem is
We're lazy.
you're lazy, and so you don't want to get off and close it. So we'll have automatic doors, so we can just push a button. That way, hopefully the shop doesn't look like this as much, where there's just dust, because there's just a wind tunnel, especially when all doors are open in the back and up front. It's just a wind tunnel, and so that we're always getting the leaves and tons of dust in here. So we're trying to keep the shop clean somewhat. So yeah, hopefully the next couple weeks those will be here. And then over there, you'll just have to believe me, there's a lift, so we'll be putting that up too, and that's going to help a lot on the ranch, just for our vehicles, but also for working on them on the channel and things like that. It'll help a lot. So yeah, I think we're gonna take this for a test drive though. Everything is put together, and let's see if all this work has changed. Hopefully it is a big difference and everything drives better, but we will find out. See if it'll even start. It hasn't started in like a month and a half. Hopefully the batteries are charged still. Oh, look at that. Like a champ. Maybe we actually know what we're doing. Oh, that truck sounds so good. Well, it turns. That's a good thing. It means the diff actually works. Oh yeah. That is just a beautiful truck. Just so beautiful to look at.
Reverse feels faster.
Really? So that's good. Let me hop in here and see what we can do. Well guys, that was a successful test drive. There's a big difference with the gearing. Now we can cruise at about 60 at, even in 5th gear we can hit 60 and feel all right, but then once you drop it down to 6, you've cruised, and we're only at like 1800 RPMs. And so yeah, you don't feel like you're pushing it, and you can just cruise really good. So luckily that was enough gear droppage that it made a big difference, so we're very happy with that. So the truck is feeling really good actually. you don't feel like you're just wrapped out everywhere you go. Feel like you can just cruise and you don't feel like the truck's working really hard. So success on the Diff. Yeah, everything's pretty good. Really, the next thing that we need to work on are getting the seats figured out, and then we're gonna be going with those seats. These ones are just too big and bulky for it, so we're gonna have to build a little base to bring those up a little bit. And then yeah, no, everything's coming along good. So we'll park it here to get a sweet photo. Truck's looking good. Daddy like it. Well guys, I think this is where I'm gonna end this video. Got the rear end in, so that was our main goal. Now we can move on to the interior and get that all figured out, and then slowly just start working on the small things. We also are now ready to start working on the deck on the rail, on the frame rail, and it'll be nice to get that closed up. And then we need to start thinking about tubs for the rear tires. We don't really know what we're going to do there yet, if we're going to have to get them custom made or if we can buy some and trim them to where we can make them look good. So a lot to think about, a lot to do, but remember to subscribe so you can catch up on all the next videos and see when they're coming out. And thank you guys for watching. Peace.